So I hope you're having a wonderful book-filled month. In fact, when you watch this, April will probably be over, in which case I hope you had a wonderful book-filled month. I wanted to talk about 3 books I've read so far this month and really enjoyed. I'm gonna jump right in, and the first one, this has just been published in paperback form, and it is Malorie Blackman's Chasing the Stars. It says Loss Lies Love, and I really like this kind of embossed, bumpy, planet style cover. It's really nice. I really like the colours. So Malorie Blackman is a British author. She's probably best known for the Noughts and Crosses series. So I was quite excited to read this. It's young adult. It is set in the future, and it's also set in space. So great combination. I tore through this. It looks quite long. I guess the print maybe isn't, like the font isn't really small, but it's almost 500 pages long, so regardless of the font, that's a pretty long book. But I absolutely tore through this. I couldn't stop reading it. So basically we have 2 main characters. This is a love story. We have Olivia, or V as she's known, and we have Nathan, and it's told in it's probably quite a familiar style to a lot of you. They take it in turns to narrate, so a chapter each, first person narration, so you get like both of their perspectives, which is really interesting because as this story unfolds you realise that they're both seeing things and interpreting things completely differently and sort of holding different information from each other. So I enjoyed that. I think I probably preferred V's chapters, but that's quite natural for me to kind of enjoy the female protagonist more. So Olivia and her brother Aidan are commandeering this spaceship, and they're moving through space, and they've been on their own without their parents for a few years. She's 18 years old, so is he. They're twins. And then eventually they find this planet, which is an enemy planet, but it has humans on it. So they decide to rescue this group of humans who are on the planet, and suddenly their ship is filled with people for the first time in a long time. And so it happens very quickly. The story takes place over a very short amount of time. And I think time is always something I'm thinking about when I'm reading a novel that's set in space anyway, because of light years and all that stuff. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about space. But what I mean is that the love story, them falling in love, happens so quickly that I think on first reading you probably think that it's completely unrealistic. And then other characters around them start to acknowledge how quickly they've fallen for each other, and then you realise that this is more of a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. It's not necessarily going for realism, but it's very intentionally written like that. So this was really exciting. I would recommend it probably for older teenagers, but you know, I'm not going to tell you what to read. Read it if you want to read it. And yeah, there's a big twist at the end, which I did not see coming, but looking back it's sort of little seeds are planted throughout that kind of hint at it, but I didn't see it coming. So yeah, this was really enjoyable. I'm very glad I read it. Let me know if you've read anything by Malorie Blackman and if you've read this book indeed. So link in the description, published by Penguin. Cool, lovely. Next up, a new book by one of my favourite young adult authors. Not even young adult authors. Patrick Ness is just one of my favourite authors. He is so great. So this is Release by Patrick Ness. The cover, what do you see right now? Tell me what you see, tell me what you see. I saw a river and a guy walking through it, but actually if you look again you can see 2 faces like looking at each other. One's upside down. Very cool cover. I like that very much. Love these shades of blue. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It simply says in the back, sometimes the end of your world is the start of your life, and Patrick Ness is an insanely beautiful writer, quoted John Green, which I completely agree with. So this book is quite similar to his last book that I read, which was called The Rest of Us Just Live Here, in that there's I don't want to say run-of-the-mill because that sounds demeaning, but there's a kind of ordinary contemporary teenage story happening. But then in between the chapters and in between that story, in the same town, in the same place, there's something else happening. There's something kind of otherworldly, kind of fantasy, kind of darker, a little bit supernatural almost, happening at the same time. So they're kind of sharing the same timeline and their stories are kind of intertwined in really interesting ways. So I don't want to say too much, but At the beginning of this book you find out that a young woman, a teenage girl, has died, and so it's definitely, that's not what the story is about, but you should expect that in between chapters there are these very short sections about her and about this interesting afterlife place. And I don't know if you think that adds to or distracts from the story, but for me it just adds this whole other layer, and I think it's just rich and delicious. But the other part of the story is that there's a young guy, a teenager called Adam Thorne, and Adam's parents are very, very religious. They're Christian, and he's gay. He's figuring out his identity, trying to figure out if he loves his boyfriend. He has this amazing, strong female best friend. He has a really complicated relationship with his brother. He lives in a small town in Washington, I believe, and he does a lot of running. And it's just very sad, but it's really beautifully written. I guess it's a coming of age story. It's about someone finding their identity. I just love reading Patrick Ness's writing because I think he really gets teenagers. He writes these really rounded characters, and he makes them speak the way they should speak, and they think things and feel things in just a way that really kind of hits home and is very easy to relate to. So this is just another beautiful, beautiful book, and published by Walker Books for Patrick Ness, as always. So thank you to them for sending this to me. And my last one is also a beautiful kind of bluish cover. These two look quite nice together. Yeah, this was an interesting one to turn up on my doorstep. This is Encounters by Jason Wallace, winner of the Costa Children's Book Award for, I believe, his first novel, not this one. Just this gorgeous, freckly little child. I'm not going to assume your gender, I'm not sure. And it says, just because no one believes you doesn't make you a liar. So it turns out in the 1990s in Zimbabwe there was an incident at a school where over 60 children saw a UFO. They all claimed they saw it, and this is something that happened and I'd never heard of it before. It's a true story. All these children claim to have seen this UFO, and this book is very loosely based on that, but that's just sort of that's just a really interesting thing to base a fictional book on, and definitely something that I started reading up on as soon as I finished reading this book. So this is very similar. It's set in Zimbabwe, it's set at the school, and a group of American psychiatrists have turned up to interview some of the children who claim to have seen this extraterrestrial thing. And it's told from the viewpoint of 6 different young people, really varied in age actually, and varied in backgrounds in terms of kind of social backgrounds and also geographic backgrounds, because you get a section from the American daughter of the psychiatrists who's 13 and she's never been to Africa, and it's just very interesting. But you also get, I think my favourite chapter was probably from the 18-year-old son of the headmaster of the school, who, kind of like Patrick Ness's book, had a really complicated relationship with his father based on who he was and who he was trying to be and pretending to be. So that was really beautiful. And then of course this book deals with issues of race, and some of that was really hard to read, and it's about growing up, it's about identity, it's about belonging, and it's about people believing what you say. And to what extent do we doubt children, and where's the line between imagination and terrible, awful, awe-inducing event? Do you know what I mean? So this was just really interesting and really unique, and I just noticed that there's a little alien man in the girl's glasses. I've never seen that before, sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, I'd really recommend this. Again, it's for young people, I guess because of the language and because some of the themes are a little bit dark. Maybe not young people. I know it says Costa Children's Book Award, but I wouldn't give this book to a child, small child. Okay, I'm rambling, I'm a little bit caffeinated, don't know if you can tell. Those are 3 book recommendations, all books aimed at young people this month or next month. I don't know what time it is right now. But you don't have to be a young person to read them if they sound interesting. So Chasing the Stars, Malorie Blackman, Patrick Ness's new book release, and Encounters by Jason Wallace, which I'm not even sure if it's out yet, but hopefully it will be, and if not there'll be a pre-order link in the description. So links to all of these in the description. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you're reading as always, and have a great day. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye.